Watts, but you can call me Pope. Down in the Philippines for the love of basketball.
I think we on to something. Let's go. Waking up early, I'ma never be late. Writing what I want, like y'all better be late. And we celebrating life till we barely see straight. They tryna hold me back, but I'll never delay. Nah, I never delay. Nah, I never delay.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 7 of the Coach's Call. Today we have a very special guest, all the way from Texas. He's been coaching in his community, more recently an assistant coach at DSLU University Green Archers. It's a pleasure to have you on today, Coach Roland. How are you?
I'm great, man. Glad to be here. Glad to be on the show.
Thank you for making the time and coming onto the podcast, Coach. What I usually ask all the guests is, where does it all start for them? Where did basketball start for you, and where did you grow up?
Where it started for me was I was 5 years old. First game I ever saw on TV was the Rockets and the Celtics. And I just fell in love with the dream. Akeem Olajuwon. Some people that don't know, he just amazed me with his game, the way he was. And ever since I was 5, that's when I fell in love with it. You know, and I just knew from there I wanted to play, you know, wanted to coach after I was done. And I just knew what I wanted to do after that. So, yeah.
So, did you grow up playing in high school, and did you go through college? How far did you think you took your game in terms of playing?
Well, I took it as far as I could take it. You know, I played professionally as well, but I played high school, played college. You know, I was more of that guy that just kind of traveled everywhere, the travel man trying to get on somewhere, and you know, and I was pretty good at what I did because I was always focused at basketball. It's like that was it. My life, basketball. So, you know, that's what I did. I played in high school, of course. I did very well. I was pretty known around the city. After that, I went to college. Ended up playing at Southwestern Oregon. Played over there. So I went from being down south all the way up there to the great Northwest in the States, you know. And then after that, kind of trickled into the NBA Developmental League at the time. It's called the D League. It's called the G League now. Of course, I got cut. Didn't make the team, but you know, it was an opportunity that I was there, and after that, you know, went to Germany, Mexico, and then just kind of played in different minor leagues here in the States. So.
It's impressive, Coach. That's very impressive. I mean, must have been a good experience to actually work out in the D League, right? How was it with coming up with those athletes? Did you come across any players that are actually playing professionally now in the NBA?
When I was there, I was with, I don't know if too familiar with some of the guys, but this guy named Latavius Williams. He was the first kid to be drafted in the NBA Developmental League out of high school. You know, me and him are still friends to this day. It was him. There was another guy that was there. His name was Mustafa Shakur. He's a point guard out of Arizona. He ended up playing. I think he ended up playing in the league as well. But I was just there, you know, just trying to get on, and luckily I was just trying, man. But you know,
that's the thing, Coach, is because I coach in the UK, so we get a lot of American athletes that graduate. So after they do the 3 years, it's either they go pro or they go back to their normal lives, right, and find a career, find a job. So a lot of them now, I don't know if this was a trend back then, but they do master's degrees in universities in the UK. So I get a lot of D3, D2 athletes now coming in, NCAA guys coming into my program in the UK as masters, and they end up playing in the UK, playing in clubs in the UK, like semi-professional, while they have their student visa, playing for the university as well. And then after, they can go and play in Europe if they get scouted, or if they, if their numbers are good, if they have the game tape. Was that something that was happening back then?
No, there weren't no graduates like that. No.
So it's happening quite a lot now. Actually, we get a lot of athletes coming here, because it's with that whole rule with the college, right? Once you're 3 years, you stop playing. So you run into that kind of roadblock, isn't it? What do? Do you chase the basketball, or do you actually chase playing basketball, or do you actually start coaching? So you said you looked into coaching from before, right? When did you actually think, okay, this is probably when I'm going to start taking coaching seriously? You remember?
When I started taking coaching seriously, that's when it was about, I think, like 2013. I took the head coaching job at Houston Community College. That's when I went into coaching like full time, because before then I was coaching like part time. When I was back home, I was coaching here at different high schools, just kind of part time, trying to maintain in a sense, But that's when I started taking it like full time serious. I was like, you know what, I'm done playing. Let me stop chasing this and let me get to my career, because this is my calling. I mean, I just knew basketball was my calling, period, But that's when I started taking it full time, and man, I just been at it full steam ahead ever since.
How was it like getting that first head coach role? It's for Houston Community College. What league were they playing at as well?
It was an amazing experience for myself. I'll never forget it. Like, I'll never forget when I got the phone call. It was like at 10:45 at night. I got the phone call, and I was on the couch, and I was like, during that time, I was debating, man, should I still go chase this? Should I still go try to get a job somewhere as far as playing? Or should I just say call it quits and take an assistant job somewhere at a high school or something, right? And then next thing I know, I get the phone call, and I'm like, oh, man, okay, this is my calling, it's a sign.
It's happening. It's happening.
Right, it's happening. So it's like, okay, God telling me, hey, let's go ahead and go full time, here's your sign, let's do it. So, after I took that position, man, I just loved it, because I was helping these guys out, because I was getting guys that needed that second, third, fourth, fifth chance to continue their career as far as like college, or getting them to another level. Now, Houston Community College is basically a junior college. It's a community college. But the league that we were playing in at that time, we were trying to get in to the Region 14, which was a region out here where you had Lee College, Glenn, who else, man? It was a couple other schools, but top junior colleges here in Texas. So the region was pretty tough at the time. And like San Jack, they're an old school, that a lot of people know out here from the States. Like, a lot of NBA players went there before they went to, their Division I schools, and then went on to play. So we were trying to get in that, and what we were considered as a club team at the time. We're considered as a club team, but we were playing like a lot of Division I junior colleges. So that was the league of it, man. And like, I was trying to get, like, keeping it serious and getting everything going, and everybody was amazed, and it was just like, wow, like the momentum was going, and all of a sudden, man, just management, that's all I can say, kind of shut things down.
But you see a lot of it now. For example, on Netflix, they have like The Last Chance U, and they really focus on JUCOs, because the guys are really hungry, right? They really want to prove themselves. Like you said, it's their last chance in a way. Did you get those players that wanted to really work and just gave it all out?
Yeah, I got those guys. I got those type of guys. Just guys that needed a break, needed that chance. Because there was a lot of kids that don't get a chance, or a lot of young guys have been around, a lot of people that, then help them strive in the right direction or help them succeed, kind of venture them off to doing other things. And, I was just that coach that helped them out. Like, hey, you know what? Look, let's get focused. I know this is what you want to do. Your heart's not over there. Your heart is here. So let's, continue to move forward and move on and make your life better as far as getting an education and moving forward, So I had I ain't gonna say a few, I had a lot of guys I sent to other schools and got them to where they wanted to be and helped them out. And, it was a great feeling.
I mean, it's they say all a player needs is an opportunity, isn't it? So it's great that you're a part of that journey, and I'm sure they're very appreciative. They'll always remember that for sure. Looking at you're telling me that the management changed. Is this the kind of time that you went to the Indiana Elite Prep Academy, or was that off, or was that a bit more time after?
That was a little bit more time. So before I went to Indiana Elite, I was at Indiana Prep. I went to New York. So I was at another prep school. I was at a prep school before I went to Indiana. Went there, just kind of figured like, hey, I need to get out, start getting my name out there a little bit more and just kind of see what everything else is about, because these are other guys, like being in prep. It's like the same thing, these are guys that are still trying to get a better opportunity, and they're actually sacrificing a year of their lives to get better, to just, fulfill their dream in a sense, get to a better school. So I went to New York first, and I saw how the business was and how the prep business is. And it's like, it's a lot of shady people, man.
I can imagine, Coach.
It's a lot of shady people, and that was one thing I spoke up a lot. Like I speak my mind. I'll say that. I speak my mind about things, and even with that, I was just like, this ain't right, and I helped the guys out to get out of there, and luckily I was able to help them out before I got myself out of there because it was just a bad situation. And then right after that, that's when I went to Indiana, and it was a way better situation than where I was at because of the management of the people that were there. I would say the president of the school where I was at in Indiana, Tony Cole. He's like, I should say he's well known here in the States as far as helping kids out, helping guys out, helping players, and he really cared. So it's a big difference when you have people up there that care, or you have people that actually care about the players instead of caring about themselves and making a profit out of things. It's a big difference when you have somebody that cares. So when I went up there, took care of business, got kids out to Division I schools all the way down to, Division I, Division II, III, JUCO, NAIA, just helped a lot of guys out, and, won a championship at the end of the year over there, which was great. But it was good, everything was good with that. So.
How long were you at the Indiana Prep Academy?
I was there for a year.
Sounds like a lot in 1 year, Coach. Sounds like you achieved a lot.
I'm telling you, grind, man. It's a grind. Being in the prep, it's a grind because, it's like you got to do everything, and that's one thing that I did. I was doing everything, just from being the physical trainer, strength trainer, the PT, to the head coach, the player development coach,
video coordinator,
man, doing everything. I was editing my own videos, trying to scout the games, and I was doing everything, man. And at the time, like I had an assistant. Man, I love him to death, man. But he was coming in first year trying to do anything. He was like 22 years old, and he's like barely like a year or two older than a couple of my guys, right? So I was like, man, let me develop him, and I had to teach him. I had to teach him how to be a coach, and it was great though. I love the experience. I loved it. So it's a lot. It's a lot being a coach, and that's another thing too. A lot of people don't understand what it is to actually be a coach. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of work. You say you want to do it, but it's a lot of work.
I know they see you on the sidelines. They think, this is a great job to do. They don't see the behind the scenes, isn't it? I mean, it's a fantastic job. I'll never change it, but there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, right? There's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And that's one thing I do tell people, man. It's like, once you're a coach 24/7, and that's one thing I tell my guys. I'm like, look, either if I train you or you play for me, I'm always going to be a coach. You can call me at 4 a.m, 2 a.m, 3 a.m. If there's a problem, I'm there for you. And that's one thing a lot of people don't understand. Like, once you're a coach, man, it's like you're a coach all the time. So
that's a great mindset, coach, because that's exactly what I do with my players. I always say my door is always open, so they can come in and contact me whenever they need support. And it's about developing them off the court as well, right? Helping them with their academics, helping them with their school. So you're 1 year at coaching at the Indiana Elite Prep Academy. What's next? What was your opportunity after that?
After that, just kind of came home, came back home, started training people again, because I have a business that I run out here as far as training goes. I call it the Watts way now. It used to be Handle, but I call it the Watts way. But I just came back home, and then, I got a phone call from one of my best friends, and which happened to be Jermaine Bird. And, he's like, Ro, I'm about to get this job out here, and he's like, let's come on out here. Let's try to, let's do our best. Let's take care of business, man. He's like, I want you to come in and be one of my assistants. And I was just like, hey, I'm there. There's no questions asked. Hey, man, I'm there. So that was next right after that.
So when you got the phone call from Coach JB, and he says, let's do this. Let's go to the Philippines. Great program. Did you do a bit of research before? Of course you did, but did you actually expect how big the program was going to be?
Honestly, I didn't think it was that big until I got there. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, okay. Okay, I did my research on it, but I was like, okay, let me see, man. So, like, once I got there, when I literally touched down, I started getting messages out the blue. And I was like, man, who is this guy? Who is this person? And it was lovely. So, it was like, once we got in and got into the season and everything, that's when I really took everything in, especially, first game when we had against Ateneo. I was like this the whole time. I was like, look at just like that. And it was just like crazy packed. But I didn't understand like how big it was until I got there.
I mean, with the UAAP, it's a great setup. I mean, everything's structured very well. It's a great collegiate league. And you fell straight into, I would say, one of the best clubs or the best programs in the actual league itself. And then, as you mentioned, you fall into a first game, LaSalle Ateneo. That's like a Duke Carolina in the Philippines. So it's a very, very big game. So stepping into that assistant coach role and adjusting to the Philippines, what kind of things spoke to you as a coach in the style of play that you think really was different to, say, the American style game?
Well, out there, it's different. Well, for me, for what I saw, it was different in the aspect of it's more physical. The game is more physical, but it's still like, okay, a little behind in a sense, because like they allow a lot of fouling.
Yeah,
and that's it's like too much fouling. And I'm like, okay. So I know for myself, when I had to develop the guys, I was developing the players, and I had to make my adjustments to that. you know, to be more physical with the players or with the guys. And it was different in that aspect of it. Like that, for me, I think that needs to change. You know, it's like, man, you know, you can't push up on the guy and knock him down and there's no foul, you know. And I'm like, oh man. But
I mean,
that's what go ahead. Go ahead.
With the adjustments that you have to make as a coach, people don't understand it's not just the X and O's, the players, also the refs. You have to adjust to how the refs call things. Everything else, the rhythm of the game is going to be different, you know. And it sounds like an easy transition, you know. You go from America to a different country or wherever, but there is also that transition, and it's how quickly, as you mentioned, how quickly you adjust to it, isn't it? So in terms of your actual role with De La Salle, because you mentioned when you were coaching at Houston Community College, you were, at Indiana Elite Prep, you were doing everything, right? Was it weird that you had a specific role at De La Salle, or was it kind of you had to do different things as well?
It was different because everywhere I've been, everywhere I coach, even from the high schools I coached at, I did everything. Like, I did everything. And just having a different role, like my role was just basically develop the players, player development. That was my role. And it was a good role for me. Like I took it, I took it good. It was good because I just knew, okay, I'm focusing on this, I'm focused on one thing. Let me get these guys better. And I think, I think I did a pretty damn good job of that, as well as JB. He did a great job, I believe. And it was just, okay, in a sense, it was like, I could focus on this one thing. but that was mainly my role, just, developing the players, helping them out during practices when they didn't, some of the guys didn't understand certain things, or just kind of guiding them through some, certain stuff. And, luckily I was able to be on the floor with the guys, just being able to help them out, firsthand, having my hands on with them, because that's one thing I think is key, because some coaches, they don't allow their players to do that. Not the players, they don't allow their coaches to do that, their assistant coaches or anybody that, they just bring in, like, they don't allow that. They're like, okay, just talk over here in our meetings or something like that, But I was luckily, to be under JB at, last year and be able to be on the floor and help the guys out a lot, and just talk to them off the floor as well. So, yeah, that was my role.
So, as we mentioned, once you arrived in the Philippines, it was quite manic, right? Getting messages, thousands of fans watching games.
Right.
Were you quite surprised as well at the sort of facilities that De La Salle provided? They got practice gyms. It's quite professional in the way they organize things. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree, but it was just a little different from like last year. I think things could have went a lot different, a lot.
Talk about your relationship with Coach JB, because I see you guys. I followed your season actually, and I was as much as it was a 7-7 record. I think you guys, there was a lot of positives from the performances. Closing out games, I think, was especially one. I think that was the big difference. Hitting and hitting shots when it mattered. But talk about your relationship with Coach JB. As you said, he's your longtime friend. But how's it like to go to a different country and coach with your close friend?
It was good. It's always good being somewhere with somebody that you know or somebody that you trust, especially in another country, thousands of miles away. So, that was a good thing with that. It was a good experience coaching with him, being able to be there for his first head coaching job, it was good. And the good thing about it, you know, is like I helped them out as much as I could and everything like that with my experience of being the head coach, you know, from those past years I've been. And it was just good. It was a good experience. I'll say that. You know, I just wish the outcome was different. You know? But
I mean, it's a difficult task. Yeah, I can see what they were trying to do. You know, they recruited heavily. You can see they had a lot of players that came in to the program, the one and dones, and they recruited
right.
heavily on the coaching staff as well. I can see the kind of action plan. They wanted results immediately, but that's not, to me, basketball doesn't always necessarily work like that. I think there is a time frame which allows. Would you agree on that, Coach?
Definitely agree. Definitely agree. I mean, I like to say this. I don't know. Did you keep up with the Phil Oil?
Yeah. They're playing.
Okay.
They played it before
Yeah.
the pandemic, right?
Yeah. No. I'm talking about when we were there last year.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
When we got to the championship. And
Mm.
okay. So I mean, just to kind of touch on that, you know, trying to get instant results and everything. I do believe, you know, if things would have, like I said, things should have been a lot different. You know, I mean, we would have kept that team in a sense. I think things would kind of been all right as well, you know, but I just believe that, hey, you know, let us take care of what we got to take care of, you know, let us take care of that. Like, cause we were on the right path, you know what I mean? Like everything was going good. Everything was going great. Just let us do what we got to do. You know,
that's when they added to the roster, correct? Straight after that. Yeah.
Right after that. Now, it's just like, man, we were going. You know, we were going. But like I said, man, things could have been a lot different. A lot different. You know, not necessarily saying it was a bad asset adding those guys, but I'm just saying we were in the right direction. You know, things were going good, even with them, like when they came in, the one and dones, which was great, you know, but a lot of things could have been different.
I mean, chemistry is always the most important, right? Chemistry, especially in the basketball court, you can have the 7 to 8 most talented players in the league, but if they have no chemistry on the court, it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Exactly.
So you said the first game going into the Ateneo game. Speak about that, because that's as I mentioned, it's the big rivalry. It's the Duke versus Carolina. You know, two Manila schools, a lot of history, a lot of pride. You know, you get thousands of people, drums banging, people screaming. I actually had a podcast with Coach JB, and he said he's coached at the G League and he's coached at you know, college and different arenas and stuff, but he's never experienced something like that. Speak on your perspective on that experience.
Man, it was different. I'll say it was different because the drums, you know, it's like out here, I say, being compared to the States, it's like being at a football game. You know, the drums are steady going, the band is steady hitting the drums, and everything is just like, oh man, you know, we're trying to think, we're trying to talk, and we're just screaming out our lungs, you know. And that was one thing that, like, we all had to get used to. As far, I'll say, me and JB, we had to get used to that, and I had to get used to. I'm like, man, I'm thinking, shut up. You know, let us focus on this, or let us be able to talk. You know, play during the timeouts or something during the game. But yeah, that first game, man, we had it. I could just say that we had it. We had that game. Oh man. See, now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, we really had that game. We went on that little drought. Was it the second quarter? We went on that drought. see. I'm just like, but it was good. I know it was, like I said, some things you should have done different during that whole time, and things would have helped. But yeah, it was an amazing experience.
So I also saw that you took part in the coaches and the players game, and you got the MVP.
Yeah.
So you didn't lie to me when you said that you could play. Speak more about that experience.
Yeah, man. I could play a little bit. I still can play. You know, I still can play. It was great. It was a great experience. It was great. It was fun. We had fun doing that, and that was something that kind of took my mind off of things. You know, of course, it always is playing ball. But yeah, it was great. You know, shooting them threes, knocking them down. My signature. But it was great though. It was great, man. I loved it. Wish I would have been able to do it again, but you know.
And it really looked like you guys embraced the culture as well. The LaSalle University itself, you know. I think they had a nickname for you as well, Coach Poggy or Poggy Watts. Is that true?
Wow. Yeah, Poggy. That was me.
Who came up with that, Coach?
Well, I'll tell you how it came about, man. You know, like I said, once I flew in you know, in the country, it was just I started hearing his name. And people just started calling him Poggy, you know, like Poggy. I'm like, huh? And I finally just asked, like, hey, I was like, hey guys, what does this mean? You know, and then they told me, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stick to that. Let me stick to that. And then I just started saying, you know, the guys started calling me Poggy. They just started calling me Poggy or Poggy Watts. And I just kind of embraced it, you know. So it was cool. It was a good name.
It was catchy, Coach. It was catchy.
Oh yeah.
So you said you worked with players. Is there any players from that team? Because it was quite a stacked team. I think you had around 20 players at one point. Is there any players that really, not giving anyone any special attention, but any guys that you worked with specifically that you saw at the end of the season, you know, they really improved? For example, you had, you know, Baltazar, who was an excellent center with a nice touch inside, could shoot outside, you know, soft touch around the rim. Then you had Malonzo, you know, athletic players. So tell me more about these guys and how were they at practice? Little things as a coach that from your insight and your experience and perspective can give to the people.
I mean, I think everybody improved for one. You know, just not just saying it from because they were our guys, you know, from last year, but just hearing it from everybody else around us, telling us, man, you know, these guys really improved over the year that we were there. You know, I mean, I really worked with everybody. I'll say that I had my hands on with everybody pretty much. You know, the guys worked hard in practice. Even though, man, we couldn't throw the ball in the ocean for a free throw, you know. But that was one thing that killed us. But we did pray. That was one thing. You know, everybody used to say, man, why don't they work on free throws? I'm like, shit, man, like we worked on free throws all the time. Like, all the time. We used to, I'll tell you this, you know, we used to have the horn sound when we were having the guys shooting free throws. We were blowing the whistle, it in their ears, you know. We were making all kinds of noise, and they were still hitting free throws, but that was in practice. Coming to game, couldn't save our life. It's like, yeah, it's like Shaquille O'Neal shooting that thing, you know. But you know, we worked hard. We did work hard. A lot of guys worked hard. They got better. But I'll say one guy in particular that I did work with a lot, and that was like every morning. I think people know about this, and he probably won't say it, but that was Little Bartlett.
Oh yeah.
Jordan.
The American for them, right? I think.
Yeah. But he got up, and then a lot of guys used to get up as well early in the mornings because I used to work the guys out like at 4:30, 5 in the morning, every morning.
Wow.
And that's one thing that people really didn't see they didn't see that and they didn't hear about that because it was just like, okay, I'm gonna make sure these guys get their work in. We'll make sure a lot of these guys get better. And even after practice, a lot of the other guys, they used to come after practice because, some guys didn't get up early because they had classes or they needed to sleep or whatever the case may be. But they really worked, So, yeah.
I mean, it's completely different in game situations, coach, isn't it? You can work on something at practice, try to imitate it, as you said, try to create that whole environment, but it's completely different when when the clock is ticking, the score line's there and thousands of people are screaming. So
yeah, it's completely. See, that's the thing too. You can never simulate a game. You can't simulate that. You cannot simulate that. But we tried our best. Trust me, we tried our best, but we just can never simulate the game.
I think that comes definitely with experience, especially with those guys. I think with the ones that are staying, they have a good opportunity next season. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Just wish we were there to lead them.
Me too. I was a big fan. I was watching you guys and supporting. They also had the big center now, isn't it? Ndai that's coming in. So LaSalle's looking quite big, right? In terms of Baltazar still there. And I think it's looking promising for them this upcoming season. Is there any games that really spoke out to you that you, as a coach, as an AC, really thought this game is the one that I'll remember during my time at LaSalle? I know all of them were probably really impactful games, but is there one that really stuck out, and is there any particular reasons why?
I would say the two we lost at the end, which was the
UP.
And
oh my goodness, I didn't want to bring that game up. I was hoping it was a positive game, but in a way I like it because I like when coaches bring up the losses because that's what you learn most from, isn't it?
Right. And that UE game, man, we just blew it. It's like we had it in the bag. We really did. We should have, honestly, we should have blew it. We should have blew them out, But yeah, that last shot, man, like, I still cringe my teeth about that one. That one and that UP, and it was a lot of adjustments I would say we should have made. God, you see, I still think about that one too. But yeah, we should have won that game, man. We should have won both of those games. It was just some decisions.
Go on, coach. Go on.
Oh no, I'm just saying there's some decisions we should have made. The guys should have known better, when they were on the floor. But shit, it happened. It happened.
I mean, for example, the turnover and that led up to the three, isn't it? I hate to bring back the memories, coach. I apologize.
All right, man, you fine.
So, as an AC, what do you do? Was it your role to kind of help bring back some positivity to the team? Because losing at those games can take a lot out of players. It could bring them down. Confidence is low. How did your players respond? What were you doing as an AC to make sure the team is staying on track?
I just had to keep the guys positive, in practice and even off the floor. When I seen their heads down or kind of seen them down a little bit, just there to pick them up. And I know after those losses, the guys really wanted to work even harder. And that's one thing I did notice, about our players. Some mistakes that they made, or they seemed like we had a bad game, or even some games that we won, but we didn't win by enough. It was like, okay, let's get to work. And that's how the guys were. And that was one of my roles, just like helping them out. Like I said, getting them better and just encouraging them like crazy. And that was it. That was my role with that. Just kind of building their confidence up and keeping their heads up, keeping the spirits going. And that was pretty much it.
I mean, after the season finished, you had the 7-7 record. You missed out on the Final Four, and there was a lot of, would you say, talk in the air whether you guys would stay? You know, Coach JB, yourself. What was going through your mind at the time? I know it sounds from our conversation for sure that you had a strong passion for the school. You're passionate about your job. You really wanted to stay out there. But what was going through your mind at that time, Coach?
You want the truth? I was like, our ass is out of here.
that simple, Coach.
That's simple, man. I was like, yeah, we're out of here, man. That's me though. Like I said, I speak my mind, and that was just like, okay. I was like, yeah, we didn't perform enough for them. We didn't do what we were supposed to do, I guess. And I was like, yeah, our asses are gone. But I wish we would have stayed. Like I said, we should have a little, an extra year, especially that, just imagine that, during this time, they would have kept us on staff and we would have had this extra time like this. Man, it just, it's a lot of things. It's like, we had one more. If we had that one more year, things would have been different. I'll say that. We put a lot of time into those guys, and especially like I'll say this, like I told you, I spent a lot of time with the players, a lot of development. And that was another guy I'll say, back to the question before, which was the import, I would say, Amadou. I spent a lot of time. He was another guy that was with me every morning, in the evenings. Like, he was always with me, like literally always with me, So I spent a lot of time with him, and we all spent a lot of time with those guys. And it just like, we needed that one more year. But
I could see from the response that you guys got on, for example, social media, how people, the fans, the players themselves as well, they had a lot of respect for the work that you and Coach JB came in and you did for the program. It's also the fans that, build that bond. It's not just what you guys see on the court, it's the stuff off the court. Like you said, you're spending extra time with these players. It's a big relationship, isn't it? And sometimes as a program, you have to make decisions, I understand, but it's starting from scratch again for next year, isn't it? Which is quite difficult. So I wish them all the best, of course, because I'm a big De La Salle fan. They probably are my favorite team in the league. But it's going to be a difficult transition, especially with new coaching staff, because they have to learn a new system, learn the different coaches. Right. It is disappointing, Coach. So after, like you said, you've heard the news, you probably you were heading back. What kind of opportunities did you think that was going to go in your head when you went back to Texas? Or was it just, we'll go home, relax for a bit, and then see what happens?
At first, I'll say I was just like, yeah, let me take a little break. Let me take that little break that I needed. I needed a break. Dealing with a lot of stuff out there.
That was an intense season, isn't it? And it's in a short space of time as well.
Yeah, and that was another thing. It's like the season was short. It was really compact and short, and man, if we had like a regular season, like how it normally is, things would have been different as well. But I just needed that little time. I needed probably about a month to myself, and then right after that, man, I got right back in it, and now I'm getting ready for next year. I don't know if you can see the background. Yeah, so like I'm the assistant coach at Southeastern Illinois College now. So I'm getting ready for that this upcoming year. Can't wait. Looking forward to it, man. We're a Division I JUCO out here in the States, and we're actually in the best conference in the nation. So looking forward to this, man. I'm really looking forward to my new guys coming in, guys that I recruited from out here, and just ready to get back to work, man.
Congratulations, coach. That's a big news, you know. It's quite difficult once you leave a role, and then there's a bit of uncertainty, isn't it? And then it's nice and rewarding when you get those opportunities. Like you said, that first phone call that you got at 10:30 in the evening for your first coaching role. Those are the times that you always remember, isn't it? Because it makes the journey worthwhile for sure, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It does. It does. It also sucks to be.
Sorry, coach.
I said it also sucks to be in the unknown.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Great news. So I'm guessing that you're moving on to more coaching at higher levels for sure as well. How's that going as well, especially with this whole pandemic?
You know, as far as I know, we're still going to have a season. You know, everything's supposed to go smooth like that. Just depending with the school and everything, if different states, if our cases keep going up, you know, it's either going to have the guys take classes online, or they're going to be in the classroom. But as far as I know, we're going to play with fans or no fans. So, you know, we're still going to keep going. And I think like during the time, you know, we'll see what happens with that. And as far as recruiting goes, it's a lot of film. It's a lot of film you got to watch. And, you know, I still work guys out sometimes if they're able to come down here to Houston or something, and just like that, just trying to gauge stuff with that as far as recruiting. A lot of film watching, a lot of highlights, and just kind of going from there. But it's different, you know, because you're not able to put hands on the guy too much because of the whole pandemic. But you know, we'll see what happens.
Are gyms open out there? Because right now the gyms are closed here, so it kind of limits to what we can do. And FIBA and Basketball England here in the UK have set kind of guidelines. So we have different levels. I don't know if they've done that in America as well. So I think we're currently on level 1 or 2 where we can only coach in small groups. I don't know if that's happening in America. Speak more about that.
Some gyms are opening up. You got some gyms that open up, and you got some guys that have different gyms or different access to gyms where they're able to allow guys to come in. But as far as like the regular gyms, like people working out and stuff like that, not too many people come in. So it's mainly like private owned gyms and stuff like that open up for guys to come in and play, work out. So yeah.
So, Coach, I actually wanted to ask you kind of a personal question. I know that you fish, which is quite an interesting hobby, right? So, speak more about fishing. You running the timeline, the family timeline, or how does that work?
Oh man, I learned fishing from my father, man. Like he used to take me when I was a kid, and that was one thing that me and my dad really got along with. That was one thing that was our connection, you know. He just took me out, and that was one thing that I kind of stuck with that, and it was like a peaceful place for me, you know. Instead of me playing, sometimes it's like I got to get away, you know. So I go fish. It takes a lot of things away. It takes a lot of things off my mind, and you know, I thank my father for that, for putting that in me, you know, because he does it we both do it to this day, you know.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Coach. Because to me, it's great to see the stuff that the impact and the inspiration that you guys do on the court. But to me, it's the stuff off the court that is also, to me, inspires, because stories like that is what keeps us going. Do you see what I mean? Because our jobs are so intense, right? It's nice to have that little getaway.
You have to have peace, man. You know, you got to have a peace of mind. And that's one thing I'm big on is self-care and peace of mind. Because if you don't have that and you just steady focus on your job, it's like, oh man, it can get to you. It can drive you crazy, you know. And that's when, you know, you start losing your hair, getting the gray hair, losing your teeth and going crazy, man. And I'm not trying to have so
self-care,
you know.
Coach. I love that. Self-care.
Right.
So back to the Philippines, actually. I wanted to ask you a question in terms of the Philippines. What did you enjoy the most from it? What kind of experiences that you had off the court that really kind of stuck with you and the memories that you always have?
I'll say I love the weather. I actually love the weather because it's like summer all the time. All the time. But what just stuck with me is just like I got a lot of love from the people out there, you know, from the people, from the culture. Everybody kind of embraced me in a sense. You know, of course, there was some incidents, but it was just like I got to wave them off, you know. But I loved it for the most part. Just being around everybody, you know, just kind of venturing off and enjoying the city and everything like that, and everything was good, you know, like that. So I mean, I enjoyed just being around people, and it was good. It was an all around good experience.
That's great to hear that you actually had a great experience out there, Coach. Do you see yourself actually coaching there in a high level at one stage? Do you see that happening maybe in the PBA and PBL?
Man, I would love to. Honestly, I would love to. You know, if either I could go out there and be a head coach. I would love that. Definitely love that. Or if I would, you know, go back to be an AC again somewhere. But you know, I would love that. I would love to if the opportunity presented itself. And, you know, of course, things got to be right. Everything has to be okay. You know, yeah, got to be okay. But other than that, man, I'm just looking forward to being an SIC and getting us a championship this year.
And I'm excited for you, Coach. I'll follow your journey. I'm looking forward to see where it takes you. Is there any final thoughts that you wanted to give? Any shout outs? I would say any future ventures, but you already mentioned them already. So,
yeah. Oh man, I'm just looking forward to the season for next year and looking to win the championship this upcoming year, man, and you know, continuing everything. And you know, I'm glad that I had the opportunity to coach out there in the Philippines. You know, like I said, I just wish things were a lot different from last year. You know, there's some things that should have been different. But it is what it is. You continue, you move forward. And that's one thing that I'm doing because I knew, you know, I was going to get a job somewhere, you know. So I'm just excited. And that's about it, man. So.
I mean, that's a great mindset to have, Coach. As you said, it's all about moving forward, thinking positive. As you said, you know, there's always a role out there for a coach, especially good coaches. I always think that, you know, a program will find you. And I know that you'll definitely make an impact in your new college and with the athletes that you're working with. So it's been a pleasure to have you on today, Coach. I really do appreciate the time. And yeah, I guess stay safe and take care through these times, and we'll catch up again soon, Coach. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it, man. I really do. I also want to say this too. I'll say one more thing.
Of course.
I would like to honestly, I would like to give Coach Jared Drake as the head coach at SIC now. I mean, giving me an opportunity to come coach this upcoming year. You know, and I just want to say that, man, it's going to be a great year. So please, everybody out there, just watch out, all right?
We'll be following Coach Watts. Take care. Thank you very much, yeah?
All right.